Good morning, Geeks and Gamers. It's Jeremy. It's Ryan coming to you with another Geeks and Gamers daily live stream. The live stream that happens every Monday through Friday, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, decadely. You know how it goes. Hi, Ryan. How are you?
I'm doing good. We had a big breaking story at the end of last stream when Ike Perlmutter got kind of ousted. And now that we've had about a 24-hour period to kind of look at this and look at all those things, it's certainly interesting that Ike Perlmutter, the guy who tried to get Kevin Feige fired, the guy who Bob Iger stepped in to save Kevin Feige's job, one of the last remaining probably dudes who's not like super woke that are actually working there, boom, gone. So,
well, we're going to have a special guest today joining us very soon to talk about the Ron DeSantis story with Disney and Reedy Creek. And we're going to get more into the Marvel stuff. Every day there's more Marvel stuff, man. I called Gary yesterday and I'm like, this must be like Christmas for you, bro. My good Lord, man. It's every day. I didn't see anything about this, so I really hope Jeremy highlights that message about super chats being annoying, so there'll be a bunch of them. I didn't see that. Let me see. I will happily look. I did see someone say that they hate that, and it was they meant it in a positive way, that they hate that. Yeah, there it is. It's Flocky said that. I hate that Gary and Geeks and Gamers are both sponsored by Meta PCs. I'm torn on which to get if I get the money, if I get the cash. Hey, either one's fine. Fact is we love Meta PCs. They're doing good stuff. They've got our backs. And we're really happy to be in partnership with them.
I hear y'all motherfuckers say that when it was just me.
Oh, Ryan's like, what the hell, man? What the hell? I guess somebody was complaining earlier. I don't know. But either way, we appreciate you guys being here. This is a show that usually runs about an hour. We try to bullshit for a few minutes and let everybody jump in here and make sure, because notifications sometimes they go out a little later. But we do have our very special guest. I'm going to let Ryan introduce our very special guest because how many times have you been on stream with this person, Ryan? Maybe a couple
times. A couple times I've been on with this guy. And listen,
this is the first time on Geeks and Gamers, though.
He might not live here.
Second time. I'm sorry. Second time.
All right. Can I introduce him now?
You can.
Thank you. So he might not live here in America. He might not live in Florida anymore, but he still is the resident expert when it comes to all this bullshit Disney versus DeSantis stuff, because every time we continue to hear the mainstream media say, you know what, it's just done. It was a good deal for Disney. DeSantis didn't do anything here in Florida. Now, once again, that's the headline. We needed our legal expert, legal mindset. What's up, Andrew?
What's up, gentlemen? I'm doing great. Jeremy, as soon as I got the documents fresh off the press, I did a records request for these documents, and I read through them. So I got them. I've gone through all of them. And you were the first person I hit up because I'm like, I got to hit up my Florida boys.
That's right.
Out there with the Gators and the orange juice, and we got to talk about this.
Hell yeah, man.
I thought I was done. I thought I was going to retire on this. I actually thought that this whole DeSantis Disney thing was kind of settled. We're going to get a transition, and, they're going to come in, but they had a curveball. They had to try a curveball at the last minute here, which, has given me more to talk about. And this is precisely my area of expertise that I spent the first 6-7 years of my legal career doing. So
hell yeah. Well,
we're very much, very layman when it comes to this stuff. Let me give you the fucking dumb person's understanding of what seems to be going on, right? So DeSantis steps in and decides, hey, with all the stuff that Disney is doing, let's look into this a little more. Hey, it looks like Disney has had this super advantageous deal with the state of Florida, with this Reedy Creek agreement, with everything. Let's put an end to that and make Disney just like every other company. They can't just do anything they want. And for the past year, we've heard that, well, that's not going to happen. The taxpayers are going to end up being fucked over. Disney's going to get everything they want. This isn't doing anything for them. Ha, ha, ha. And every step of the way that gets thwarted. And now here we are. And apparently the board that's been newly installed, they say, hey, Disney came in last minute, try to make a bunch of changes, and they could have a bunch of power for the next decade or so, or even longer, till 2053 or some bullshit.
But potentially 30 years. But I'm going to tell you right now, it ain't lasting that long, because this shit is not legal. And that's coming from me at the legal mindset. Is that, look, here's what they tried to do. They said, okay, we lost the battle to keep our district and keep all our powers. We don't get to keep our baseball. We know we're going home. We know we're packing our bags. So in February, they said, look, here's what we're going to do. We still control this sucker until March. So what we're going to do is we're going to transfer all our power from ourself to ourself. And what they tried to do is send their power from their totally public and totally not completely controlled by them government entity and transfer those powers over to Disney itself and restrict and pretty much neuter the government so they can do absolutely nothing whatsoever, including ridiculous things like they can never use Mickey Mouse. They can never use, their logos, trademarks, everything else. Not that they would use them anyways. Most governments would never do that anyways, right? But putting things in there that seem like regulations that government would put on a private entity. And really the simple of this, the thing like a caveman like Ryan can understand is this. Look, Disney tried to file some restrictive covenants just like your HOA would, just like anything else would. But they forgot one thing. Covenants are meant for private parties to bind private parties. They're not meant to regulate governments. If I said the city of Orlando, and I'm Universal, and I said they got to put a Harry Potter on the side of their fire station, they can say go pound sand. They don't have to do that, right? If Universal gifted them that and put a restriction on it, said they had to do that, they could say go pound sand. These private restrictions do not apply to governments. And I dealt with this routinely in my practice for 6 years, dealing with homeowners associations that wanted us to follow all sorts of crazy rules, right? When I represented Celebration, which is right next to Disney, they got a bunch of crazy requirements, and they would always try to get the governments to follow them, whether it was Kissimmee or whoever else. And the government would say, look, we're the government. F you. We don't got to do that, right? That's for private citizens to follow. So the whole frame of mind here is Disney is desperately clawing to maintain that control and power, and it's just not going to work. I mean, plain and simple, this will definitely go to court, but this is not going to stand.
And that shows you that it is I've seen a lot of people try to dismiss this whole situation. And obviously I've been critical of DeSantis, especially over my D-Day Cover channel and other things. And that's totally fine. That doesn't apply to this conversation. I've seen a lot of people try to dismiss how he's handled Disney. Oh, it's not that, they're going to be able to do. And Disney is what happens. I say this all the time. When something is dying or when something is in a desperate situation, what happens? They start showing how desperate and how dire the situation is. And that's what Disney's showing right now, is that they are very frustrated with what has happened. They deserve it for trying to get involved in policy in the state of Florida. They deserve this. You had so many special privileges all of those years, and you finally pissed off the wrong one, and now you're in this situation. So it's looking like a big win for DeSantis here.
And here's the thing is all they had to do was shut up. Like continually, all they got to do is just shut up and go away. But now this is only going to make it worse. Like if it wasn't worse already, it's only going to get worse for them as they fight and fight and fight. They're going to lose more and more and more power down the line. In the long run, Disney is looking in the short run for these short run victories, but the long run, they're just kicking themselves in the foot.
Absolutely.
And I think that funny. What I've learned along this step is every time you see anyone in the mainstream media say, "Oh, Disney, they just got one over DeSantis. DeSantis gave them exactly what they wanted." Every time they say that, a day later, it's like, "Oh, no, actually not. Actually, this is really fucking bad for Disney and will continue to be really bad for them." And I saw the same thing going on yesterday. It's why I didn't even talk about it or make a video about it, because quite frankly, you knew that something like this was actually the reality. That, you were going to make a breakdown video on your channel and show everybody why. No, it's just more ploys from Disney and the media who's in bed with them to try desperately to make it look like it's an optical win for them.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to frame it in any way. And I saw the pixie dusters coming out of every corner of the internet trying to frame this as a W. There's a clause in here in terms
King
of
of England or something.
There's the King of England clause, but actually I got that one pulled up and I had it on my, I can share it with you guys right now, but I got it pulled up right here. I was actually looking at that right now. And it's actually like just one part of a larger phrase, which is talking about how long this thing lasts. So there's this weird thing in the law, which used to be a case back when this lawyer who wrote this was a young lawyer, called the rule against perpetuities. And that's for, how long things can last, essentially. Florida got rid of that. And we actually have replaced that with like a 90-year rule where we let things run out for 90 years and see how they go. But this King of England clause, like this declaration shall continue 21 years after the death of the last survival of descendants of King Charles, King of England, that's buried between a bunch of other clauses which say, hey, look, this is how long this is going to last for. So it was an attempt to say what the point was, is that this is going to last for as long as it'll legally be allowed to last for. That's what they meant to say. They're just doing it in a funny legal way. It's good for a laugh, but in no means does that clause mean, oh my gosh, Disney won because they did something funny and they got one in DeSantis. That's not what that clause means whatsoever. That's complete pixie dust. That's absolutely snorting the pixie dust.
This is great news. This is so funny. And again, man, Disney has ruled in this state. And again, look, they do. They're a giant force here. People that have never been here or that don't really understand it, like even people that have been to Disney World, some people have just gone to maybe the Magic Kingdom. They don't understand how big Disney is. It is fucking massive beyond belief. It's its own city. Yeah, their own interstate. It's massive, and they bring so much revenue to the state of Florida. It's insane.
Yeah, their employees are bust. I mean, anybody who doesn't know about the international program, they got like pretty much the international ghettos out there where they run dormitories where they bus back their staff to and from. They've got housing on either side. They've got a lot of undeveloped land as well. They've got undeveloped land way in the west of the state as well that they keep for conservation purposes. They're a massive operation. And look, Central Florida has benefited from them, right? But they have also benefited from Central Florida. And it's about finding that balance between, okay, benefit and burden, and are they paying their fair share?
Right.
Particularly in 2023, when there's plenty of other theme parks in Central Florida. They're not the only show in town.
They're not. And a lot of people that have basically jumped into this situation that know nothing about the theme park itself or how it works. I kind of apply it to when people got involved in the Colin Kaepernick story. People like Susan Sarandon suddenly cared about football. Are you kidding me? And so I've heard people go like, Disney just needs to move out of the state of Florida. And it's like, what is wrong with you? Yeah. Do you understand that is no chance in hell that is possible? Disney World is twice the size of Manhattan. What you are saying is that Manhattan should just move out of New York. Like that's not possible. There's no scenario where that is possible. And I've seen so many of these Hollywood actors and these leftists, because they don't like DeSantis, say Disney just needs to move. They just need to move Disney World. It's like,
you're going to move to Puerto Rico, guys.
Yes.
No big deal. Where like one hurricane fucking destroys an entire island. They have no infrastructure. That'll be great. Just move to Puerto Rico.
I honestly don't think they could find anywhere in the continental United States where they would just have the land. Just like open land where they could say, I'm buying that much land and we're developing. Yeah. I just don't think it exists in the US as of date, right?
Yeah, and with the convenience of the interstate and the crossovers and the population, like there's not another place in this country that they could find that they could recreate what they've done. Plus just the sheer cost of what they were doing. Like I think that it cost like, it's been a long time since I kept up with a lot of stuff, but I feel like the Avatar land itself, just a small section within Animal Kingdom, I feel like that land cost like over $1 billion just to build. We're talking, that's like a small piece of one theme park, which they have 4 entire theme parks. I don't even know how much it would cost. It would cost hundreds of billions of dollars for them to relocate and reestablish.
It's not just jack that bad boy up on an 18-wheeler and pop it over there, put Splash Mountain or whatever they're calling it now, on a double wide and ship it out to Texas. That's not going to work.
And the thing is, every other place that they could potentially go, they're going to have to fall under the same restrictions they fall under here in Florida. This is normalcy. This is what every single other entity, every company, every business, everyone falls under. These types of governmental city restrictions.
In fact, Ryan, I'll actually say this. Florida is more friendly than almost every other state. They allow these types of special districts. They don't just say, okay, this falls under the city or the county. It actually allows for these little local governments that are kind of mini counties, mini cities. These are things that don't really exist with the same power and force and freedom that they do in Florida. If you try to do this in Pennsylvania or New York, good luck. Good luck. That's not going to happen.
Well, I've got an interesting word we can use for what's going on with Disney. Welcome to equality. Oh, yeah. Suddenly you don't like the word equality anymore.
Whoa. It's equity now. It's equity
it's
now.
Equity now. Yeah. Oh man. So this is so funny though. And how do you see this playing out over the next, couple of months, Andrew?
Look, we've seen this dog and pony show before. Disney's going to come out with their people, trumping it as a win, trumping it as, they're going to take this in the end. They're ultimately going to be vindicated. But as you see the law play out and facts and reality play out, these things are going to end up either being overturned or they're going to back down or come to some sort of resolution on. I think, once again, the reasonable thing would be a resolution, but we've yet to see Disney be reasonable. We may see this go to the courts. We may see this brought, all the way up to the Florida Supreme Court. And certainly, I will guarantee you that if we see it at that level, it's going to be overturned. And the Central Florida Tourism Oversight Board, which was meant to bring oversight, will eventually bring oversight to the corporate kingdom. I think it's coming whether they like it or not. They're just delaying it a little bit longer.
Wow, man. Go ahead, Ryan.
Since we're here talking all this nonsense with Disney, it wasn't that long ago that Ike Perlmutter was involved in, what looked like a pretty clear attempt to, get Nelson Peltz, I believe is his name, some more power on the Disney board, back up Bob Chapek, prevent Bob Iger from coming back and taking over. Well, none of that worked. And yesterday we got the breaking news that Ike Perlmutter was out as Marvel chairman, the chairman of Marvel Entertainment, separate from Marvel Studios and has been for like 8 years or whatever. But what does that mean to you? Because I know you're a guy who's covered and talked about these things and even talked about some of those board power struggles as they were ongoing a few months ago. What was your first thought when you heard that Ike Perlmutter was gone?
First of all, you're the first person to tell me. So, because I've been so focused on this single issue that I've been in the zone, guys. I get in the zone, Ryan. That's how I go. I'm tunnel vision on this. I'm a dog on a bone. So, frankly, that's the first time I'm hearing it. But look, from that perspective, though, you've always got to pay attention. And I was corporate counsel after I did special districts, so I can say, look, board swaps are 100% something you need to focus on, and why they're made and the timing at which they're made. Right. So you have to look at what other things were happening around the time of those board swaps. So I would say that's definitely something that matters. Now, I don't have the inside baseball on those figures individually, but the change does matter. I will say that.
And that's something you should probably look into, because I know it'd be good for your channel, for you to dig deeper into that because of the history of that. It was like Marvel is in free fall right now. And Ryan, if I'm not mistaken, I think I saw Gary post something else, a screenshot of like another Marvel person. Like, I don't know if this is last night or something, but it's like Marvel is falling apart right now.
I mean, it's because the news, if the news line, which you kind of see what the news line is, right? You need the fall guy, right? Especially if you have layoffs, right? You've got to cut somebody. If you're cutting people below, right? You got to say, okay, we need somebody at the top to take the head. So one thing in the strategy is, for example, if you're doing a merger, or something like that, all the executives go. You don't keep the executives, right? And if you're doing a big layoff, you take some of the executives so they take the heat. They're not the ones that ordered it, right? They're not the ones that ordered the heads to roll, but that guy's head has to roll. Somebody at the top's head has to roll.
Say if you're firing 7,000 employees, say if you're laying off 7,000 people, right? While you're still committing $25 billion to entertainment and spending all these things. If you fire a big executive like Ike Perlmutter, who a lot of people who are on your side don't like this guy because he donated to Trump and he said, I don't think all these women and black people will be very good for superhero movies. You fire a guy like that, all of a sudden there's a lot of attention on that instead of the 7,000 janitors and people like that you're laying off that are now jobless. You're saying that could be a reasonable part of it as well.
It's a good distraction. It's a good distraction.
And also, I think part of it, too, is when you fire someone like Victoria Alonso, not fired because she's woke, not fired because of her politics, fired because she's terrible at her job and was causing massive problems for them, and she happens to be super woke. It might be helpful to you to avoid being labeled as she's trying to label you. Oh, you silenced a gay Latina because I spoke out against Disney. Instead of taking that on and like dealing with that storm, you fire a guy from the opposite side. You fire a guy who's known to be not woke at all, right? So then you can point and be like, what do you mean? Of course we don't side with these anti-woke people. Look, we just laid this guy off.
Yeah, I mean, one of the few that's left, right? I mean, in the organization, how many of those folks are left that can say, yep, I'm wearing the MAGA cap, I'm walking out there. I think at this point it's one hand at best, and I don't know the other four of them, right? Who are still, what are the conservative voices inside Disney? I don't think they're there, other than maybe at a shareholder level. I just don't see them being there at the top executive level anymore.
Well, that's one thing I've talked about many times about Disney and how, just from a public standpoint, whether it's social media or through their films, there's nobody there that seems to have a conservative opinion or any values. And there's either two answers to that, and neither one of them are good. Either A, they don't exist, or B, they exist, they just aren't allowed to say anything publicly, or they don't feel comfortable saying it. That's not a good answer. And it kind of goes back to the Gina Carano stuff. You had like all of these freaking leftists on Twitter that work for Lucasfilm can just spew all the left-wing garbage they want. You got one person named Gina Carano who might say something a little bit differently, and they publicly fire and shame her. So I think this company's in bad shape right now. And it's hard to imagine that because, Disney did seem untouchable for so many years, but the woke mind virus will destroy anything and everything that it comes in contact with. It takes a little bit longer when it's something as big as Disney, but it's taking a severe impact, and I think they're going to pay the price.
And they're paying the price because it's moved them further and further away from everyday Americans, normal Americans, certainly Floridians, right? Certainly we've seen that they're far afield. What Disney is putting out on a corporate level is far afield from what Floridians want. But even step back, I think most normal people would say, hey, Disney's gone a little bit far. If you really think where they're at in terms of the positions they're taking and what they're representing, that they've gone past where they need to be. And what they need to be or needed to be, or in general, is something that produces media, entertainment, theme parks that are available for everyone. But clearly they only want to market to that very, very small sliver, and they're going to pay the price for that.
Well, and I don't know how much longer we got you. You can obviously stay as long
I can
as
hang out for another about 15 minutes. It's midnight here,
Okay, I hear you. And on that point, we're getting really close. We're less than we're a few days away from the release of the Mario movie, which I think could be a huge momentum swing for Universal. They've got the Super Nintendo World that they have at Hollywood and Japan, and it's opening in Orlando. And right now, Disney has left the door wide open for family entertainment, a great movie that's family entertainment that doesn't have any bullshit in it. And if Nintendo's able to do what I think they're going to do with this movie, with the momentum of that park, because we're already seeing a lot of the Disney adults are very upset at all of the attention Super Nintendo World is getting from the theme park standpoint. Harry Potter's already kicked their ass. Mm-hmm. So it could be a nice shift. And of course, we assume that the Super Mario movie is going to lead us to a Nintendo Cinematic Universe if it's successful, which opens up so many possibilities. And that's gonna have to put Disney in a position to go, we probably need to get back to basics. We probably need to move away from this woke BS. There's actual competition out there now, and competition is good for the fans. You want competition. So
part of that I agree, part of this. I certainly agree that, look, Disney can keep failing, but until you see a success and you can point over there and say, look, that's working, you really don't have the counterpoint. They can just make the argument, oh, the market's been depressed since the virus, right? It's down. People aren't going out anymore. They're scared of the theaters. You can make that argument until you get a massive blockbuster that blows it out of the park. So you get something like Super Mario that comes out there and just absolutely kills it. It's in the same demographic. It's the same sort of movie that they used to produce, right? And they're not producing. Once they see that W, they'll say, look, what is keeping us from doing that? What exactly is it? And they will have to have that come to Jesus moment. I just think maybe the problem is they've, fallen too far from Jesus, if you will. They've just gone way far afield from where they used to be. And it's going to be really hard for them to acknowledge that and come back. I think there's a lot of people that are emotionally, psychologically invested in the agenda that they've been pushing for the last decade.
Well said. Ryan, you want to catch a couple of these super chats real quick?
Yeah, let me pull up some of these. Gerald Armstrong, member for 2 months. How did DeSantis get bamboozled by Disney? Well, short answer, didn't.
Yeah, I don't think he did. I think this was something that Reedy Creek did on their own. They did while they still had power. I don't think DeSantis got bamboozled at all. And in fact, it's just going to, once again, once it's corrected, make Disney look more petty and ridiculous.
Yeah. Kenneth LaRoque, member for 2 months. Just when you think you've left, they pull you back in. 240p Judgmental Ryan for $20. Jeremy's a fig. Ryan is cool. Thank you. Let's see. Taker for 2. Did Legal Mindset say kick themselves in the foot?
Yes, I did. They kicked themselves in the foot, if that's even possible. If cell phones are even that possible.
I think he is here with me and Ryan. He has a talk down to us.
I think one time I say something about DeSantis putting a neck on their boot or something, or neck on their foot.
Yeah. You said
that one time. Yeah. That was like a year ago.
So so he's just coming down to our level. He's like, I don't want to talk over these guys' head. I'll just talk like them. So that's all.
I'm a simple Florida man at heart. You got to understand. You know, I come from Miami. I'm just a simple man.
I spent half of my stream last night trying to figure out how to say one name for one of my members over on D-Day Cobra. I still don't know if I did it, but the chat wasn't helping because I know the chat was intentionally trying to help me say it differently too. So I have no idea. But hey, I'm from Alabama. What do you expect? It's just a miracle I don't have 3 eyes. So, you know.
Our Master J for 5. See you Saturday. You planning any AfterCon social event like City Walk? Well, we will be at MegaCon on Saturday, September 1st. We'll see you guys there. Looks like there's going to be a lot of people at MegaCon this weekend. So
yes.
Please do come see us for our panel. And yeah, we might have something, just a real laid back, something going on afterwards. You never know.
I wish you guys, were. Is this your first year you paneled at MegaCon? I used to go to MegaCon back in the day all the time, and there was nobody good speaking there.
It's huge now.
The first time we've done a panel there at this one, we've done Dallas Fan Expo, and well, obviously you were there for Anime Matsuri and stuff. But this is our first time at Orlando MegaCon actually doing a panel. Yeah,
awesome.
Be good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be awesome. So hopefully a lot of you will show up. It's Saturday at 2:30, Geeks Gamers panel, and it's going to be awesome. The whole crew will be there.
And yeah, we'll let you guys know about something after for sure. Stephen Wasik for 10. Jennifer Aniston may deserve credit for defending Friends. She was also the same person who cut people out of her life because they did not and would not receive a certain inoculation. Look it up.
Did she actually defend it though? I don't think she defended it, did she?
Let me show you exactly what she said. Actually,
has she since asked for amnesty?
Oh, I don't know.
You saw that, right? You guys saw the we need pandemic amnesty.
Yeah. Yes, she's a crazy person. Like God, man.
So Jennifer Aniston says there's a whole generation who now find Friends offensive. Comedy's tricky because you have to be very careful. And here are her full quotes. Like basically to me, what it sounds like is she thinks it's a little bit nuts that like people are like, there's an entire generation of people that are tuning into Friends and trying to pick things apart and trying to make it look like it's offensive because you can't make fun of anything anymore. Now it's a little tricky because you have to be very careful with comedy, which makes it really hard because the beauty of comedy is we make fun of ourselves. You make fun of life. You used to be able to joke about a bigot or something and have a laugh. That was hysterical. And it was about educating people how ridiculous some things were, people were. Now we're not allowed to do that. There's a whole generation of people, kids, who are now going back to episodes of Friends and find them offensive. There were some things that were never intentional. Others, well, should have thought it through, but I don't think there's a sensitivity like there is now. Everybody needs funny. The world needs humor. We can't take ourselves too seriously, especially in the United States. Everyone is too divided. So, and we have seen like shit like Friends, shit like The Office, shit like Seinfeld, things that were the biggest things on TV that tens of millions of people were watching. Massive cultural influence. There were women out there that would wait to see what Rachel's hair was like and go out and get their hair done like that. That's like the level that we're talking about. And in just a couple decades, it has shifted to be like, well, there wasn't a lot of black people on that show, was there? And this is a show that in like the first season featured a lesbian wedding, interracial dating, like all this shit. And the idea that people are now like attacking that as like
and wasn't Chandler's dad like a
drag queen or something?
Well, hold on,
transgender or something.
They didn't hit the quota, and they didn't double it, right? It's okay to get one, you got to get two, you got to hit both categories, right?
Yep,
you know,
absolutely.
Yeah,
Like it just shows, it just shows you how pathetic that the generation that is fake offended over everything really is. And I mean, Friends is, I very much enjoyed the show Friends. Friends is one of the most basic shows out there in terms of, like, Ryan recently showed me Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Right.
Holy shit, bro. Like, I mean, that is a show that, I mean, again, not that there's anything offensive in there, but by the term offensive, like, I guess there's things that you could be fake offended over more in that than something like Friends. You know what I mean?
That's a great show because you can actually track, and I love It's Always Sunny, you know, shout out to the Fight Milk and all the great episodes in there. But you know, when you trace that over time, you know, you go to the original episodes, they're actually way more controversial than the more recent episodes. You can see when they're finally getting pushback, especially in the most recent ones, the most recent in time, where they're finally getting pushback being said, hey, maybe we should tone it down. Right, a little bit. You can see that right at the end there.
You can't like the first episode, they literally say the N-word, right? Like, you know, like you can't do that anymore. Especially because now they are technically owned by Disney.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because they were distributed through FX or 20th Century Fox, like all that stuff, which is inevitably bought by Disney. So the fact that they've still pushed it as far as they have in recent episodes, like that they're making things in 2023, like as far as that, it's pretty crazy. But yeah, it's obviously not 2005 anymore or whenever they started.
Yeah. God, but I mean, yeah, man, no, you can see that, like, when they're saying that, when they're dropping that, like when they drop the M-bomb, it's to point out the fact that behavior is ridiculous, that it's preposterous, right? It's to ridicule it, right? It's not to promote it. It's not that people going out there. These people are not pillars of society. They are quite the opposite. And that's what's so hilarious about it.
And that's kind of exactly what Jennifer Aniston said in that quote. She's like, you know, you used to be able to like put these jokes in there and do these things and kind of make fun of the hilarity of the situation, right? The fact that Charlie's sitting there quoting something a black guy just said as a woman walks up behind him and hears him saying that, it's like, oh, really? Wow, Charlie. Like, that's the funny shit. That is the hilarity of it. And that you're not allowed to do that anymore. Comedy is dead. When you decide that there's a certain thing that's untouchable, there's a certain thing you can't say anymore, then that's when comedy's dead. And there's a certain group of people you can't make fun of, people with pronouns that you can't make fun of.
Well, and I mean, right now we're three white guys laughing on stream, so it must be a hate group meeting, right? I mean, it's got to be, right? Three white guys laughing on stream. No, can't have that.
Yeah, but we would never laugh at a person that maybe is overweight or a person of color having an accident. We don't do things like. Damn. Yeah, we don't do that around here. We're very.
I can't.
Yeah. I feel bad for the car. Every time I see that, I just think, man, I hope that guy's got insurance.
Have you ever seen that one before?
Oh, you showed that one last time, but it's one of those that, like, every time, just right. Chef's kiss. Chef's kiss.
The fact that he says she's gonna fall again
means that it happened before. That we like didn't get to see it, and she was just so unathletic and so mad and so top heavy that she decided she's gonna run after it again.
There's a certain mass required for that level of thunk.
Oh man,
God, I'm dead.
All right, so this is still something, and I need to contact you with Erudai, but.
Sure.
You are being requested for Geeks and Gamers Tabletop a lot. They want to see you over there. So I got to make the connection happen. So at least I'm going to and then you could talk to him about the scheduling and everything. Sure. But the people want you over there, man. The people want you over there.
I understand. And even if I can't do it on a longer term basis, I'll try to make a guest appearance, right? I think that'd be real fun.
That'd be cool. That'd be
just to make that happen. But guys, speaking of guest appearance, I got a guest appearance in my bed. I got to wake up in 6 hours for my stream. So thank you guys for hanging out with me so far. I appreciate what you guys are doing, and I'll catch you soon.
Hey, give him a quick pitch about your channel. Mods drop links to his channel. We appreciate you being here, man.
Yeah, guys, please go over and make sure you are still subscribed to Legal Mindset, because after you guys got me to 91,000, YouTube promptly dropped me underneath that again. So make sure you're still subscribed. If you went over there and did that, you know, they like this whenever they see you up, they like to take you down a little bit just to kind of test it. So, you know, go over there, make sure you're subscribed, ding that bell on Legal Mindset. If you're somebody who is interested at all in Asia, whether you want to travel here, move here, whatever, check out my new channel, which is Go East Gentlemen. You guys, your channel got me over 1,000, and now we're almost at 1,500. So nice. Thank you so much to you guys. Appreciate your channel. Really helps out. And I'm actually stoked. I've got a lot of people down for potentially Tokyo. So in the Tokyo event. So we're already getting some excitement around that. I've got some plans that I'm thinking about for that. So really excited. Check that one, Go East Gentlemen. I live over here in Seoul, South Korea. Spend a lot of my time in Japan. I'll be in Thailand in a bit. So anybody who wants to come over to East Asia, Southeast Asia, just let me know, and I'll try to help you out.
Sounds good, brother. Appreciate you, man. You guys
take it easy, guys.
All right, have a good one. Take it easy. Good to have him on. Yeah, he texted me this morning, and he's like, "Hey, you know, if you guys want a legal take on the whole DeSantis thing, I can break it down." So it's good to have him on, and we'd like to have more guests on this show occasionally as we cover the news every day, and so it's great to have him on. So good stuff.
E1337 Neo for 20 tuned in after seeing my left-leaning friends on social media touting this is a Disney win. Get the feeling it isn't, though. Any chance of a TLDR? Should I just rewind the stream? Thanks for the legal knowledge, Andrew. I think if you rewind the stream, I think it'll be best.
Yeah. And we're going to clip that out and re-upload it as an individual video too, so that way you can actually share that specific part out when he was talking about it. So that'll be done shortly after the stream.
CJ for 5. Hail G&G. Have to admit, I'm loving all this news about the Disney firings and lawsuits. They deserve every bit of it. Yeah, a lot of the people being fired do. Some of them don't, probably. Burb Shid for 2. A third leg is better than 3 eyes. I agree. Jimmy Touchdown for 5. I hear celebrity Super Bowl lawyer Robert Wallach is now representing Jonathan Majors. Wallach owes $500,000 in New York tax warrants. Wallach saving the Kang. I haven't heard anything about that. Like I said, people were so quick to like dismiss this as a nothing burger, which it's not. It's still a thing. Like the Jonathan Majors situation is still in flux. So
I was told to believe all women. I was told that you could never question a woman. I was told that when a woman makes an accusation, you should shut up, listen, and believe. That's what I was told by Marvel and Disney. And now suddenly they're telling me I shouldn't believe women. Pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. It's almost like they never believed in the bullshit to begin with.
Yeah, it's like I think I said this the day after. It's like that freaking sweating meme of them trying to pick between the two buttons. One of them is believe all women, and the other is like don't assume a black person did a violent crime or something. You know what I mean? It's like they don't know how to handle this one, so they're just trying to stay really quiet about it.
Yep, it's so good.
Aurora Uplinks for 2. Channel member for 2 months. The new generation was raised to not seek understanding or compromise. They're raised to hate themselves, hate their ancestors, hate the past. Yeah, I think that I heard somebody talking about the way people view each other. And it used to be years ago, a lot of us viewed ourselves, the identity that we viewed ourselves as was as Americans, right? That we were American. That was our core identity. And a lot of other things were sprinkled throughout that. You could be proud of whatever. Now that's not it at all. Now our identity, like what we consider our identities, are our sexuality and our skin color. You know what I mean? I just mean a lot of people in the country. And that's like been pushed upon everyone. That's been pushed to believe that's how you should identify. That's what you should identify with. And that's why it seems like even for things that there should be common ground on, there's not. And it's reached a pretty dangerous point, I think. And a lot of the reaction to the things that are going on in Nashville, I think, is an indication of that.
Well, I mean, just like this whole, like the whole, anything that has to do with race, gender, sexual identity, anybody that's focusing in on that, it's a huge problem. And it's you know, I'm not trying to bring politics into this. Politics is part of it. And it's just like when you have the person that's supposed to be the leader of the free world, just continuing to push that type of nonsense as well, because that's exactly what Biden's doing. Like, did you see that? Did you see that press conference where he was whispering about women and all this shit? Did you see that,
I
Ryan?
didn't see that one. No.
Oh, dude. As a matter of fact, I'll see if I can find. It's so creepy, and it's like this is something that's being done at so many different levels that, as I said, I don't know how. Like, I don't know how I would operate as being just a kid growing up in today's, you know, culture or society right now. Here, let's see. All right. Look at this. Look at this. This is the weirdest shit ever.
And by the way, I'm known as America's most pro-labor senator. Well, guess what? And then as president, well, guess what? They're in fact increasing the number of women are in labor unions. It's got to be. Oh no, you think I'm kidding? I'm not kidding.
What? What?
You gotta go. You can't let this man go off script.
One more time. One more time.
And by the way, I'm known as America's most pro-labor senator. Well, guess what? And then as president, well, guess what? They're in fact increasing the number of women are in labor unions. It's got to be. Oh no, you think I'm kidding? I'm not kidding.
I don't know what the press conference is about, but congratulations on more women joining the labor unions. I'm sure that a lot of women are going to be happy to fucking do union jobs.
And that's the whole thing, like this whole push for like diversity, pro women bullshit, you know, anti-man. But then, of course, when you build your entire universe around a man, and then like it's just, it's ridiculous, man. It is ridiculous.
No one gives 5 Geeks and Gamers memberships. Thank you. No one.
Thank you.
Warren Perkins for 2. Robert Downey Jr. was the best black dude in Tropic Thunder. Pretty good. Chris Coran for 2. Explain that accident to Flo at Progressive. I don't know if you can. Zach Updegraff for 2. Friends was statistically correct by population.
I mean,
well, the thing is, look at who Friends was created by. It was created by like, I think it was like a Jewish dude and a white chick or something, maybe 2 Jewish people. But like, think of if those people had wrote a black comedy. What would the accusation be now? Well, they can't really adequately describe the black experience. They shouldn't be writing this. They shouldn't be making a show like this. So it's just fucking damned if you do, damned if you don't. And like, guess what? There's plenty of comedies that were predominantly white people. There are plenty of comedies and shows that were primarily black people that people enjoyed in the 80s, in the 90s, in the 2000s. Like, I don't know, man. The first thing I turned on when I came back from school was Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. It was on in syndication on TBS when I was like in high school or whatever. Fucking, I watched the shit out of that all the time.
Family Matters was my jam. Loved Family Matters.
Family Matters was great.
Yeah. I mean, but there were so many, like Martin was good. And I've talked about this many times, like, you know, just to really pull the card of like, I watched a show called Out All Night on BET. It had Dwayne Martin, Patti LaBelle. It had 1 fucking season, but I watched it every episode, and it got canceled after 1 season. But like, Dwayne Martin, I think it's his name, Dwayne Martin. He was in Above the Rim, that basketball movie with Tupac. Do you remember Above the Rim? Did you ever see Above the Rim?
Yeah.
And so there's just like, you see all these shows and it's like at no point in time was I ever questioning like, oh, I need to see myself. It's like, no, these are just good shows. They're just entertaining. I don't care what the color of the skin of the people in it are. It doesn't matter to me. I just want to see good, fun stuff. A Different World was another one. You know, there was just so many great shows back in the day, man. And they all brought something different to the table. You know, like Home Improvement was, like, I can't believe they haven't tried to go after Home Improvement yet. You know what I mean? Just
for
because,
like masculine shit.
Yeah. That and it's just a all white family. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Was there it like did Uncle Phil what?
I think everybody did. I think everybody did. That's why Will's so upset.
Yeah, the Jeffersons is another one, man. Sanford and Son. God, man, it's crazy how good things were. I was not expecting that question.
Yeah. But I do want to we do have another story that I did want to talk about. Again, a Marvel update. We talked a little bit about, some of the interesting things that have been going on at Marvel, and it seems like there's a new Marvel story every day. It was just a couple days ago, Jeremy, you were here on this stream talking about, surprisingly, amid all this Marvel craziness, they just happened to post a release date for Secret Invasion. That Secret Invasion, something that was originally slated for spring of 2023, and then the release date got removed, and it just said coming soon. People were like, I guess that means it's going to get delayed. Well, then it got announced, by the way, it's coming out June 21st, which, for those of you paying attention, that is technically the last day of spring. June, most people don't think of June as spring, but June 21st, technically on the calendar, the last day of spring. And people thought, guess they pushed as far as they could. Well, now, just 24 hours after that happened, the website got yet another update. Marvel's Secret Invasion June release date vanishes. And in fact, if you go to that same website now, there is no release date. The June release date is not there for Secret Invasion. So it's like, what exactly is going on? Was it just to try to make people talk about something? Because now it just says coming soon once again. That's all it says is coming soon. No release date for something that was supposed to have released in the April timeframe. There's been no marketing for it. There's been nothing. As we've heard, a lot of projects getting delayed. Chaos at Disney, Victoria Alonso gone. Now Kevin Feige's old nemesis also been fired at Marvel.
And all of just the mass layoffs and everything. Look, I think that they are in pure desperation. I'm curious, do you think Kevin Feige is in trouble?
No,
I don't think so. I wanted to ask the question.
I don't think the opposite. I think that the firing of Perlmutter, a guy who wanted Kevin Feige fired a long time ago before he was kind of removed from power, I think all that does is solidify Kevin Feige's position. To be honest with you. And we talked about this again, the Victoria Alonso thing. I think that really had more to do with just the thorn that she was becoming because of how bad the VFX has been, and because what a controversy that has been for them. It's one thing for us to be talking about something, for us to be constantly calling out what's going on and the decreasing box office numbers. But when you actually start getting the mainstream coverage of the VFX controversies about Victoria Alonso being like a kingmaker in the industry, blacklisting people, creating this disgusting environment, and then refusing to do some things that are part of her purview as her job so it could get released in Kuwait, those are all things that actually become a problem for Disney.
Yeah. And I do think I don't know, man. I have a guess that I think the Marvels is not going to come out this year. I just don't think it's going to come out this year. I think this movie is not going to do well, especially right now. Now, again, is coming off of Guardians the best place it could be? Because Marvel's in just a disaster right now. This is really, really bad. And I know a lot of people questioned when we were saying that. They're like, these guys are just making it up, yada, yada, yada. It's like, no, we were just looking at what was going on. We were looking at how everything was playing out, the diminishing box office returns. And now with all of the firings, the layoffs, the fact that they come out with this date for Secret Invasion, now all of a sudden it's not like they don't even know what's happening anymore. They're trying everything they can do to create new conversations, but it's not going to work. I think that they have to come up with there's some type of big announcement they want. I guess they thought Secret Invasion could have been that, but it wasn't. I don't know.
I think that Disney right now and Marvel looks a lot like DC has for the past couple years. Like all this same kind of stuff. Whether it's, the box office disappointments and people like pointing fingers to random executive getting fired, to this person losing their job, to, this announcement could save it. Like, it just feels a lot like that. And as we've seen now with James Gunn announcing a reboot, didn't end very well for Warner Brothers. This was not a thing for Marvel up until about 2 years ago. I really think that Black Widow controversy that they had when Scarlett Johansson started to sue Disney because of the way that they did the release. And of course, it's because it flopped, right? If Black Widow had made $1 billion at the box office, Scarlett Johansson wouldn't be saying shit. But because it didn't really make any money in the box office, because they made it exclusively available on Disney Plus at the same time as well, that's when you saw this happen. Then you have a flop like Eternals. Then you have, now to be fair, you had $2 billion Spider-Man No Way Home. Congrats to Sony for making the highest grossing Marvel movie we've seen since Endgame. Great job. But then you've just had a series of disappointments and the audience continuing to tune out and continue to walk away. And now it's undeniable. Not even the mainstream media can provide them cover anymore. And it's been a mess for Marvel these past couple of years.
Yeah. And it's, again, that's why I think that I just can't see the Marvels coming out this year. Like, again, I don't know if you remember, I've asked you this a few times. So it's like, do we know how many delays that movie has had so far?
It's like 3 official delays, but closer to like 4 delays in reality. And I think it does. I don't think there's a way that they could push it back any longer than they have anyway, because they already have delayed it a lot. They've already swapped release dates and things like that. So I think it will come out, but I think it's going to be an embarrassment for them, to be sure.
Yeah, I mean, do we know what the budget is on this movie? We still don't know with all the delays, do we? We probably don't have a number yet because it's still so far away.
I don't know if we've had any official report from them. Production budget, the Marvels. I'm sure we had like an initial, right? We may have had like an initial one.
If this thing's pushing 200, 250 or something like that,
it's at least 200. There's no doubt in my mind it'll be 200. But it could be more.
If this movie's got a $250 million budget, they are screwed. It is not going to make that money, or it's not going to make any real profit if that is the budget. And again, that's going to show us like the true like Captain Marvel impact. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't matter how many years removed. Like if Captain Marvel, this $1 billion film that transcended everything, if it had that type of impact, people would still show up. Look what just happened to Avatar. Avatar still made $2 billion. I know people can nitpick it. It's like, oh, well, it had less ticket sales. Everything has less ticket sales. The bottom line is the Avatar still had made $2 billion. You know what I mean? Or close to it. I don't know what the actual final tally is.
Well over that.
So yeah. So, but the Marvels. But yeah, so Guardians are going to come out. I think that's going to be your outlier. That's going to be your one that's good, that has good positive feedback, that probably entertains the audiences. But Marvels is in trouble, and that's what I want to focus in on, because I know Ryan has this great relationship with Brie Larson now. She liked his tweet. I know it's a big deal. I've kind of accepted it. I've accepted that Brie chose Ryan over me, and that's fine. I'll keep making videos. I'll just keep making money off of her. Ryan won her heart, and he can have her feet. That's fine. But I'll make the videos. So.
Yeah. Someone says Indy 5 still in reshoots. Budget's gonna be close to 350, 400. Well, I like how the reports of Indiana Jones reshoots come at the same time where Harrison Ford is literally filming for Marvel. He's literally on set filming for Marvel at the time when reports of these reshoots coming out. So that's funny. But that is going to be a massive budget for sure. Guardians of the Galaxy's $250 million budget, though. You know what I mean? So I don't know. And Brie, I'm hoping Marvel's flops so that Brie Larson really has no option and she'll move in with Bane. That's the goal. So we'll see what happens.
Oh man, you gotta love it. Good stuff.
CJ for 5. This Disney versus Victoria issue. Hey, what's up, Caroline? The newest Ripaverse employee. How about that?
That's right.
Big moves.
You gotta love it.
CJ for $5. This Disney versus Victoria issue. Jeremy, we wrestling fans would call this a heel versus heel matchup.
Yes, basically, this would be like Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg at WrestleMania, when you knew both men were basically checked out, and they put on one of the worst matches in WrestleMania history, and the crowd just booed the entire time, chanted how boring it was. That's essentially the comparison right there. What WrestleMania was that, chat? When it was Brock versus Goldberg, and Goldberg was leaving the company right after that, and all the fans knew it. That was a terrible match. Nobody liked it.
West Britannicus for 5. I'm all in on the Mario movie in the NCU. Yet to come. Give me Star Fox. Dude, I would love a Star Fox freaking movie. I'd be excited about that. Yeah.
I'm telling you, this is going to give us an incredible new universe. Now, I still like, I don't know, man. I hope that they don't take this thing in the wrong direction with the wokeness and all that. I don't think they will. I really don't. I genuinely do not think they will. And they can't really afford to, man. Nintendo can't screw this up. And again, am I in a bubble? Maybe. I don't know. I feel like the hype for this movie is pretty big. I do. I mean, Ryan's not in the Nintendo bubble. Do you feel that this movie's got a lot of hype going for it right now?
I don't think it has a ton of hype, but I don't think it needs a ton of hype. I think that, again, did Minions Rise of Gru have a ton of hype? No. But it made $950 million at the box office, right? Yeah. To me, fucking, you see movies like John Wick come out, you could feel like the hype surrounding John Wick and people talking about it. But that's a movie that is going to be for a much different segmented audience. You know what I mean? Than the possible openings up to the Mario. The Mario movie, we're talking about normies. That is normie city right there for Mario movies. And families coming into the Mario movies, things like that. So I do think it's going to be really big. I think internationally it's going to be really big. So, yeah.
I am, man, I'm so excited. Like, there's so much information out there right now about what I think is going to happen. I won't say anything. I mean, I don't know anything specifically, but I have heard some of like the news reports. Like, multiple reports have said that the theme for Gusty Garden Galaxy is in the movie, and if that's the case, that means that you're dealing with Super Mario Galaxy. So I think that's what could set up for a sequel potentially. So who knows, man? But if the movie is successful, and we heard Chris Pratt say it the other day, shout out to Extra for continuing to claim every fucking time that clip is played.
I got mine too, no problem.
So yeah, so did Johnny. Johnny texted me and told me he got his through. But he was having problems with it, but he did some stuff to it. If this movie is successful, it opens up the next 5 to 10 years of a Nintendo cinematic universe, and that just opens up endless possibilities for whatever. Chris Pratt's already confirmed that there's a post-credit scene that basically sets up for a sequel or what a sequel could look like. So this is not a one-off, and it wasn't planned on being a one-off. And I think that they plan on this being a huge hit and then opening up the possibilities. And once that happens, takes you into so many different places, whether that's the Mario games, whether that's Zelda, whether that's Metroid, Star Fox, Pokemon, Animal Crossing, Splatoon, it crossovers with Sonic. Who knows what the hell they could do, but it all begins with this movie right here. It's going to be awesome.
Haas Bonaventure, CEO for 5. The only legit good MCU movie is the first Iron Man. The rest are shallow trash for sheep. I think there's some good stuff, especially in phase 1 and 2. I think there's some solid stuff. I wouldn't say that Iron Man's the only good one, but I think that a lot of it, especially as it came the end of phase 2, beginning of phase 3, I really think it fell off a lot for me.
Well, I mean, I first Iron Man's great. I mean, there's a lot of MCU movies I like. There's a lot of them I think are extremely bland and forgettable. For me, the top MCU movie is Infinity War. And then Guardians 1, and it's very close because I love both of those. Iron Man is up there. So is I like the first Captain America. I love the first Captain America. I like the first Captain America more than I like Winter Soldier, and I like them both.
I like Winter Soldier a lot. I like it because it feels different from a lot of the rest of the MCU. Mm-hmm. I like the first Thor movie. Like I think there's a lot of good shit. And fuck, inject Thor: The Dark World into my fucking veins before any of this bullshit Thor Ragnarok or Thor Love and Thunder. All right, yeah. Like, come on. The idea that we actually had like some seriousness and some like Shakespearean drama and the story of Thor and Loki and stuff. And then that got turned into the fucking slapstick dog shit, fucking Taika Waititi bitch ass Ragnarok and Love and Thunder. Fuck that.
I remember hating Thor: The Dark World. and I'd give anything to have Thor: Dark World at this point in time.
Yeah.
I mean, even something like Iron Man 2 and even Iron Man 3, which I was not a fan of, I would give anything for those types of movies now. You know what I mean? Because it's just Marvel is in such a bad spot. I very much love Civil War as well. Civil War is good. I'm a Guardians 2 fan as well. I know that was one that a lot of people didn't love, but I love Guardians 2. So there are a lot of good films, and there's also a ton of forgettable ones, man. And they got really bland there.
There's
for
like
a while.
fucking 30 of them at this point.
I know.
So, yeah.
I know. Yeah.
WYFT for 550 with the success of John Wick 4. Do you think we might see a good developed video game version similar to Jason Bourne video game? I don't know. I think it's a lot that would go into a John Wick video game. I think there'd be some demand for it, but if it wasn't like AAA studio fucking super well done, I don't know if people would like it. I remember back in the day where every fucking movie that came out, there'd be a PlayStation 2 video game adaptation. Like Night at the Museum, there'd be a video game adaptation. Every fucking movie that came out had some sort of like really crappy video game attached to it, which was cool.
Yeah.
We're just not in that era anymore.
Sad but true.
Zach Updegraff for 5. How does Miss Marvel exist with Captain Marvel now a girl? Just a woman agenda? Should it be Mr. Marvel? Hope Nintendo keeps it to the material and for the future.
Nintendo's always been pretty good about that, and that's why I have faith that they'll continue to move in that direction. So time will tell. We're gonna find out in less than a week now, and I guess reviews drop on tomorrow. So the reviews will drop tomorrow. That's gonna be interesting to see how that plays out, and then we'll go from there. So it's gonna be a huge week.
Excuse me.
Don't die.
I'm going to try not to.
You almost died once this week.
Yeah, that's my quota. We're all caught up on Super Chats. We're good over on Rumble. We appreciate you guys hanging out on Rumble. I did see one more. I think someone asked for one more shout out from MegaCon. We are going to be at MegaCon on Saturday. We'd love to see you guys there. April 1st, 2:30 p.m. It is on the schedule. You can go check us out. I'm actually going to go pick up a bunch of the passes for the G&G team today. So that should be good.
Hell yeah.
I'm excited for that. And also, through April 1st, we also have a double discount code over at Meta PCs. So for that person who was asking earlier, who should I use? Geeks and Gamers, Nerdrotic. I would say if you want to buy right now, use Geeks and Gamers, simply because we do have a special running all the way through April 1st of double discount code when you use the code GEEKS. So please, guys, we appreciate that support and appreciate you selling a couple more or buying a couple more PCs from Meta, because they are awesome and they've really helped us out, hooked us up here at G&G headquarters.
Absolutely, man. So thank you guys for the support over there. Gunco Max. Mage Demon had to get a second job. I don't know where Mage Demon's at today. Maybe Mage Demon's actually at work to pay for all these gifted memberships. Somebody told me it was on Mauler stream the other day dropping them too. So
I think he probably got cancer and died. That's what I think. Giving all his money away.
Shout out to Mage Demon.
Question Rootcat for 2. Are you excited for the movie Oppenheimer? Yes. Jeremy's very excited for it.
Mega yes. As a mega Christopher Nolan fan, I'm always excited for Christopher Nolan movies. There's nothing like Christopher Nolan movies. And so I'm really excited. It doesn't mean I'll automatically love it. Tenet is a classic example of like a Nolan movie that it didn't work for me. I thought Tenet was overly convoluted and the sound mixing was probably the worst I've seen. It was awful. The sound mixing was truly awful. I don't think it's a horrible movie as much as I didn't enjoy it. I thought there was some really cool stuff in it, but it was way too convoluted. And again, you couldn't understand anything that was being said in that movie, which is sound mixing has been a problem, like a common criticism of Nolan films, especially since I think Inception is where I first started to see a little bit of the sound mixing problems. Dark Knight Rises had it. Interstellar had it. Then Tenet took it to a whole different level. And so I don't know why he does this. I don't get it. But with that said, I am extremely excited.
For Oppenheimer. That's all. We're good to go.
That's it. All right. So, guys, thank you so much. Appreciate Legal Mindset jumping on here for a little bit. And obviously, thanks to Steph. She's here. Thank you, Steph, for being here. Just for Steph. Just because we really appreciate Steph. We're gonna play this for her one time.
Damn. Spins.
You know, I actually looked up that video to see if I could find the full thing. I can't find it. It starts when she's running.
Oh man. So thank you guys so much. We appreciate it. Have a great day, and we will see you tonight for the members stream over on Geeks and Gamers Play with our geeksandgamers.com premium members. Have a great night, and we will talk to all of you later. Bye everyone.
Bye.